Welcome back. Big lawsuit. Antitrust. Agents, are you protected? Will real estate agents survive this attack on their commissions? What is happening? What happens next? If you've been following the news, there's a significant lawsuit in the real estate industry that alleges that the National Association of Realtors and major brokerages conspire to keep agent commissions high. When we get to the end of this discussion, we'll talk about what does the future look like. So let's unpack this crazy situation. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel and hit that bell icon. Let's dig in. The lawsuit, it's a case that started in Missouri. It was Burnett and Sitzler against the National Association of Realtors. And it's a complex case with significant implications for the real estate industry. And let's break down just some of those key details. The plaintiffs were Karen Burnett and Michael Sitzler, and they were Missouri homebuyers. The defendants, the biggest name on those defendants is the National Association of Realtors, RE/MAX, Keller Williams, Home Services of America, and some of these people have already settled the lawsuit and has done so. That's still waiting on judge approval. So that is not completely done, but possibly done. But the big defendant is the National Association of Realtors. The accusation is the plaintiffs allege that NAR, the National Association of Realtors, along with the brokerages, violated antitrust laws by, first of all, fixing the commission rates. The lawsuit challenged the clear cooperation policy, which mandates that the buyer and seller brokers to split the commission, which is usually 5 to 6%, regardless of individual agreements. The plaintiff argued that this inflated cost for buyers because the listing agent and the seller set the price they were going to pay the buyers, and the buyer had no way to change that. Second, it limited competition. They claim NAR rules restrict buyer and broker representation, hindering competition and keeping those commission rates high. So that's kind of the crux of it. So what happened? Well, there was a trial verdict in August of 2023, and the jury found the defendants liable, awarding the plaintiffs $1.78 billion in damages. It also has the potential to be 3 times this, and so the potential could be to the tune of $5.3 billion, and that will depend on what the judge rules. And of course, it's been appealed. The National Association of Realtors has appealed this, and the brokerages that are still involved have appealed this verdict. So here we are. It's February 2024. The appeals are ongoing. There's no final decision yet. The judge has not ruled on this case. Additional points that we would like, that I think would be good to look at. This case only applies to specific Missouri markets, and those are the larger metropolitans in Missouri, being St. Louis, Kansas City, Springfield, and Columbia. And the National Association of Realtors argues that its rules benefits consumers by promoting market-driven pricing and competition. Because of the MLS rules, that all has to be put out up front so all realtors see what that pricing is. The potential impact on the national real estate industry remains uncertain. You don't know with all the appeals what direction this is going to go. It just depends on the outcome of those appeals. It's also important to note that this is just a very simplified overview and that the legal aspects are quite complex. The potential consequences. So what happens if this lawsuit, if the appeals court upholds this verdict, or if they overturn it? Here's some possible scenarios, and these are things you might just want to consider. And if you're a real estate agent, you might look at these and look at your business. 1, if the verdict for the plaintiff stands, there is a big financial impact. The defendants would be liable for $1.78 billion in damages to the plaintiffs and potentially other affected buyers in the specific Missouri markets. This could be a big financial burden for NAR and the involved brokerages. It could lead to some very damaging things to these organizations. Secondly, there could be changes to the commission structure. The clear cooperation policy requiring commission splits to be challenged and potentially modified or even disbanded altogether. This could lead to more flexible and potentially lower commission rates for buyers. But really, when you think about it, the commission is probably determined through market dynamics that would kind of determine what that commission structure would look like in that situation. It could lead to increased competition. Rules restricting that buyer-broker representation could be loosened. opening up the market to more competition among real estate agents. And potentially, this could affect fees and maybe the services that are rendered by different agents. It could change some of those working things that agents offer at their commission rate. Also, there will be definitely, and it's going on now, as there's uncertainty and litigation. This income could trigger further financial challenges and adjustments within the real estate industry as the various stakeholders, NAR, and these brokerages adapt to what changes need to be made to make sure that this is very clear to consumers. If the defendants are found not guilty, and so here's the flip side to this, if the appeal happens and they're not guilty, it could be status quo. The current commission structure and the NAR rules related to the buyer broker representation would remain in place, at least in these Missouri markets. It would maybe have just a limited impact. The financial burden of the damages would be avoided by the defendants. I think that you might see minor changes on disclosure requirements, especially around commission charges. And I think we're already seeing a shift to that in the real estate business now. There's potential for future cases. While this verdict wouldn't set a national precedent, it wouldn't preclude similar lawsuits being filed somewhere else, potentially with different outcomes. And some of that's going to depend on local laws and the evidence that is provided. Industry focus on appeals. Both sides would likely focus their efforts on solidifying their legal positions through further appeals or settlements. And I think it's to remember these are just potential outcomes that could happen. And the actual impact of that case could depend on the court's final decision and how the real estate industry adapts. This process is ongoing. It's too early to predict what those long-term consequences and ramifications are going to be. We are seeing some things happen in the industry. There are copycat lawsuits that have come about. Some of these lawsuits have combined together, indicating that there's probably a broad legal challenge that's going to come on the real estate industry. I know that some of the things in the real estate industry have already looked at making some changes, but that's where we are. That's what's happening today. My expectation is, it wouldn't surprise me that this goes on for some short number of years and that ends up at the Supreme Court. That's where we are. February 2024 update on the real estate lawsuit. Stay tuned. We'll have more coming. See ya.